Hi guys, it's Miss Madera, and we're going to start our next lesson today talking about opposites and absolute value. So first thing I want to go over is our vocabulary for the lessons. Now, when I'm talking about opposites, which we mentioned before, I'm not talking about just left and right. The opposite of up is down. We're talking about mathematical opposites. And that vocabulary I just mentioned is included, but now we're talking about the math definition for what an opposite is. So an opposite is, or are, excuse me, two integers that are the same distance from 0, but on opposite sides of 0. So opposites are the same distance away from each other, but one side is positive and the other side is negative. The algebraic example would be something like, I'm going to get a new color. Negative A is the opposite of positive A. Now that's the algebraic example. I would put numbers in place of these variables or letters. So let's go to a real example. If I have a number line, 0 is where I start. Usually it's always in the middle. And if I'm going to follow the rule, there are two integers that are the same distance. They're far away, the same amount of spaces from 0, but are on opposite sides. So positive 3 is, I'm going to use a different color, is 3 spaces away from 0. And negative 3 is also 3 spaces away from 0. So if I'm just talking on a number line, there's a visual example. But we can also say negative 100 and positive 100. Those are opposites. Negative 32 and positive 32. Those are both opposites because these have the same number. They both have 32. One is positive, one is negative. These both also have the same number. One is positive, one is negative. These are true opposites. Now let's talk about what non-examples are. These are not opposites, but I want to tell you what they are so you have them on your notes. Negative 80 and 10. Those are not opposites. And the reason why is because they're not the same number. One is positive and one is negative, but they're not the same distance away from 0. Negative 80 is way further down the number line, where positive 10 is closer to 0. These are not opposites. Another example would be 4 and 4. Pretty obvious. They're the exact same number, but they are both, at this point, there's no symbol, so I'm going to assume that they're positive. I can't consider them opposites because one has to be positive and one has to be negative. So this is another non-example. Again, if you need to pause this for any reason, please feel free to do so. If you're ready to move on, I'm going to go ahead and scoot my paper up. This is a new friend that we're going to start talking about in the next lesson, but I do want you to have this vocabulary. So this is coming up. This is called absolute value. What I want you to do on your notes is I'm going to zoom in on the word, and I want you to put 2 lines around the words absolute value. Think about like parentheses. If I had parentheses, and if I stretch them out like a rubber band, and they go around the words absolute value, because they're going to do the same thing to the numbers in just a minute. So make sure you have this on your notes. It's a visual representation. The absolute value is the distance, there's that word again, distance, that's a C, sorry, between a number and 0 on a number line. Now let me tell you something. I'm actually going to turn my camera around if I can. No, I'll have to just show you on the camera. So, the algebraic example would be, here's 0 in the middle, and I have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just like in our earlier example, we had -3 and +3. So I have -3 and +3. I want to know, they're opposites of each other. We already talked about that. But I just want to know how many actual spaces, how many times did I pick up my pencil and count this number away from 0? Let's see. 1, 2, 3. 3 spaces. I'm going to do the same thing with this positive side. 1, 2, 3. 3 spaces. It does not matter if the number is positive or negative because it's measuring distance. Distance is never negative. Sure, you would say the car drove back 3 blocks. The car drove forward 3 blocks. No matter what direction, whether positive or negative, if it's a distance, the space, the amount of space it took up was 3 spaces, So, another example would be like, you can even go all the way to, let's go up and down. Let's do this number line. So here's sea level. There's a sunken ship over, I would say, below 100 feet. If it's below, we know that's negative. Then I have a bird up here. They're up positive 100 feet. But I'm going to always say, if I'm asking for the absolute value, how far away is this bird from the sea level? How far away is this sunken ship? That's a sunken ship. I don't want you accidentally thinking the ship is on the water. It's sunken. It's underwater. I want to know how far away is it? You're not going to say it's negative 100 feet away. You would just say it's 100 feet away. That's the absolute value. This bird, you wouldn't say it's positive 100 feet away. You would just say it's 100 feet away. Can you guys, please, on non-examples, write -4, because a negative cannot be an absolute value because of this guy right here. This number could be -20, -4 million, -0.14. It doesn't matter. Always, 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 it can never have this sign. I'm actually going to do it in a different color so you can see it. Any negative number cannot be an absolute value because distance is never negative, ever. Distance is never negative. How many spaces away is this? The distance, how many spaces I counted, is 3. Where is it on the number line? It would be -3. But I'm not asking where it is on the number line. I'm asking what is the value of spaces away from 0. Always, always asking. You start at 0. Can you add that here? I'm going to use a different color. Okay. Make sure you have all of this on your notes. Once you're ready to click on to the next step and work on your guided notes and working on group work. Thanks, guys.